Christina Universe Citizens presents my synergetic thought process experience. In the beginning, 02, September 11, 2023, clarity is between the complementarities. "13 years have passed since producing In the Beginning 01. In that thought language, thought action information gathering process, much has occurred that is recorded as memories are to be recalled or forgotten. It is in the natural course of events of little or greater significance to any observer who likewise is in degrees of tune-inable proximity to articulations that came into focus. Articulations are always potentially activated for particularly differentiated and integrated relevance or discarded irrelevance. Particular is of relative significance to metaphysical conceptioning of the minimum structural system with which anticipatory design science objectives correlate to the tetrahedron because it has been designated as the particulate. Particulate relates to the form of minute particles. Humans are aware of such integral phenomena, so whether to events as realities may well be conceptually formulated by the mind, in the underway process, a conceptual pattern does come into the potentially recognizable field that can be more or less relevant to metaphysical intellect as a potentially consciously coordinating mentality as a function of metaphysical physical universe. Consciously suggesting here that without differentiating relevance, irrelevance can be subconsciously memory stored and restored in the brain's computer. The human brain, cerebral, circuitry-designed machine, is an electrical device that humans from time immemorial know so little about. Yet it travels everywhere with the physical, metaphysical observer's awareness and unawareness of the environment within which humans live to survive all that can be experienced in universe. Humans of a mind live to experience life in universe as individuals of an evolution species. We can never get out of universe, but we can get out of system. The mind of each of us is metaphysical. The human brain is physical. Cosmic logically, each of us is designed to live life until the moment of death. At the precise moment of death, when no weight is lost, metaphysical life vanishes and only the physical chemistries remain. Chemistry is substantially composed of matter, whether this matters to you or not. And since matter is to radiation as knots of rope are to coils of rope, writes R. Buckminster Fuller, the planet's friendly genius, as he was known during his lifetime in the 20th century, then metaphysical intellect, as a function of universe's eternal, omniscient mind, can differentiate matter as gravity when recalling one of the always and only coexisting complementarities that physics has found. In quotes, gravity, in parentheses, matter, and radiation, end quote, from our Buckminster Fuller Synergetics Dictionary. Incidentally, universe is pluralistic and complementary. It is neither monological nor pluralism or any ism, even misusing the word pluralistic as pluralism, as I read from Vivek's book, page 322, where he attempts to describe the vision of pluralism that stands in stark contrast to the woke version of identity, causes confusion. An ism is a belief or a system of beliefs that is accepted as authoritative by some group or school. So we must be conscious of inaccurate word choices that can lead to catastrophic failure concerning the education of our children that we are now witnessing and described in Vivek Ramaswamy's best-selling book, Woke, Inc., Inside Corporate America's Social Justice System. Wokeism has become the degrading, detrimentally contagious global phenomenon to our intelligent humanity's natural love of order, with increasing interest in a plurality of micros, knowing that there may only be one macro, as universe is inherently infinite and systems are inherently finite. It is much easier to recall that unity is plural and at minimum two. Vivek's book, along with what I have already assimilated from Bucky Fuller's writing and many more contributions over the decades to the universal communications process, turn into an enlightening experience. I can now connect previously nebulously inexplicable, purely imaginary, potentially contemptuous words that seemingly come out of nowhere, like the word woke, that I never heard of before recently. Yet the power of that terminology tends to manifest controlling authority. It enlists governmentally sanctioned rules that were non-existent before. Fortunately, clarity is between the complementarities that physics has found, but this is not yet widely known nor accredited as wholly, W-H-O-L-L-Y, relevant in political societies. Consequently, the always and only coexisting complementarities can be supplanted by the irrelevance that grows in offsetting perturbations, inducing more irrationally conceived preferred realities. Usually, it is not until the full gamut experiential, experimental malfunctioning runs its ruinous course as potential upheaval, massive demonstrations, revolutions to acceleration and amplification, exhausts itself, that the system's ramifying, culminating isms subside. Clarity is between the complementarities means that in the metaphysical generalized conception field of thought, induced thus by disseminated generalized content to generalize the concept, that substituted words are no longer valid. One example of the always and only coexisting complementarities is male and female. Awareness of this truth of nature is opposite to the mistaken woke words that came out of nowhere to influence gender bias, where describing what a woman is begins another distortion as types of relative insanity that closer resembles totalitarian governments than freedoms in a democracy. In other words, female and male is a generalized species description, and also relative to electrical language, which might have something to do with our electric brain, where the male plug fits into the female outlet when electricity is wired into your home, and so forth, relative to the concave and convex. It helps to become more familiar with universes always and only coexisting complementarities to avoid misguiding education criteria. I will list some examples here from A to F. A. Acceleration and deceleration. Acceleration and eternal slowdown. Activity and inactivity. Active and potential. Action and reaction. Analysis and synthesis. Anti-entropy and entropy. Angle and edge. Annihilation and conservation. Annihilation and synergy. Association and disassociation. Attraction and precession. Attraction and repulsion. B. B quantum module and A quantum module. C. Chaos and design. Circumferentials and radials. Collecting and dispersing. Cohering and sundering. Complex and elementary. Compression and tension. Concave and convex. Concentric and eccentric. converging and diverging, cosmic and local, critical proximity and innocuousness. D. Differentiation and integration, disorder and order, definite and finite, division and multiplication, disparity and parity, disequilibrium and equilibrium, distribute and inhibit, dynamic and stable. E. Elementary and complex, energetics and synergetics, entropy and syntropy, energy and synergy, external and internal, expansion and contraction, explosion and implosion, eternal conceptuality and temporal experience, eternal and terminal. F. Female and male, focal push-pulling and omnidirectional, frequency and wave magnitude, function and function. Anyway, over years of time, reams of white paper used for handwritten developing thoughts also has been thrown away. Some of it saved for future reference that never happens, as a matter of fact, not experientially to me, primarily because the word process in computer technology, external, to the cerebral computer suffices as the memory of mankind now. This is the special case physical experience, whether we actually are consciously knowledgeable, how the information gathering, information sorting, information storing, and restoring system operates when turned on subsequent to awakening each day. It can be, as the day begins, observing the reenacting articulations local to momentary focus or incidental to concentrated effort at the desktop computer, or when using the cell phone as a portable computing device. This morning, I awoke to edit yesterday's unexpected, unanticipated interest in words that start with the letter F, as in frequency, fact, fiction. Since yesterday morning, I have added more content to explain what inspired the vowels A, E, I, O, U, sometimes Y, and W that came to my mind. W? It occurs to me in the English language, of course, because that's how I learned about differentiating vowels from consonants, which comprise all the other letters in the 26 letters of the English alphabet. That's how a type of scientific curiosity occurs to me which clearly is more scientific than is typically given credit. Yet once the subsequent steps are taken, urged thus by inquisitive intellect, I opened the most complete dictionary on hand, and not solely to depend on the desktop word processing dictionary. The computer's word processing software includes a dictionary and thesaurus, undoubtedly. It is so convenient for taking inquiry to whatever the research writer settles for in the amount of focused time invested, thus actively involved in composing what naturally evolves in the process. Eventually, it can be converted to a printable form or simply as computerized text for reading at some later date. The later date is subsequent to whenever systemic thought puts composed words into readable form. And as anticipated readers can see herein, the objective itself evolves from that initial curiosity about fact, fiction, frequency, vowels, and consonants. In addition, and what occurs to me within the hour of my initial inclination, which was to open the dictionary at my computer station where I sit to type the sentences that can be grammatically corrected to my benefit and spell checked as well. Within the initial hour was an unexpected thought that suddenly occurred to me, correlating to what prisoners in the PRJWBCHM system must endure to satisfy the J factor, in particular as its powerfully positioned ambitious lawyers compete for their share of the bounty. PRJWBCHM, politics, religion, justice, war, belief, complexes, hierarchical matrix. As far afield as you could probably never imagine from my initial inclination upon awakening, almost instantly I considered the torturous indignation humans suffer in the hands of justices supposedly superior, supreme intelligence, the courts of its political system that the people accept without so much as an inquisitiveness about fact, fiction, frequency, vowels, consonants, and what may have come first. Was it the consonant or the vowel? The brain's memory from the first human brain might disclose that specific answer, which perhaps anthropological studies can learn more about. Alas, for me, personally, more than 13 years from in the beginning 01 has passed, as billions of humans likewise came to pass to live out their lifetime on earth, unless inspired in some connection to the very thought of it. I do not recall everything that has happened between then and now. Presently, though, it can occur to our contemporary human intelligence that we are programming the AI, artificial intelligence, machine learning brain, to operate with a differently informed regard for us, our highly intelligent evolution species, than as a replacement for the inventive mentality's profit motivations. So it's not only the past, but also what we are designed in principle to achieve, tune into, recognize, and realize that no humanly innovated robotic species with mechanically engineered expertise will ever surpass us. This has been a discernible conflict we are confronting now, that some of us are in the process of deciphering, while acknowledging the metaphysical slowdown that is the opposite of physically exhilarating robotic intentions to conquer the world. In every respect to our evolution species, humans of a mind, we are the universe that we are devising. To put it in plain and simple language. To state it more completely and complexly, I can write, human metaphysical intellect as a function of universe employs its systemic thoughts awareness that consciously comes before any technological upgrading from the as yet unacknowledged design by Yom, universe, eternal, omniscient mind. With fear of death, fear of falling, fear of fending off the fiercest other suggests the consonant must have come before the vowel, because it would have conveyed a constructive evolution admonition, not just imagining the cry out of ah, eek, oh, ah. Instead, in some distant correlation to the consonant F for frequency, intellect consciously tunes into the frequencies and angles, the only two possible covariables that are operatives in all universe design. At least, according to R. Buckminster Fuller, the 20th century genius, whose mensurations, measurements, geometry, topology, synergy energy includes interrelating the most accurate word use to inspire any consciously focused human observer of the reenacting articulations, which, by the way, he wrote in quotes. The articulations are ever reenacted each time, hoping to reduce the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of observation and articulation, end quote. So, scanning across the bottom of page 446 in Merriam-Webster's Collegiate Dictionary 11th edition, from F, the sixth letter in the English alphabet, following A, B, C, D, E, intellect can choose what momentarily seems more relevant to failure, false, family, force, frequency listed under F as example words, leaving Fahrenheit to some distant interest. Whereas the sixth letter of the Greek alphabet, following alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, is zeta, which for now is irrelevant, but may be relevant to some branch of science. On page 447, anyone can select their particular correlation to personalized relevance, or simply because the word is closer related to Leonard Euler's topological limits, such as face is. Coincidentally, facial recognition surveillance pops into my head just now in some discernible connection to the imprisoned populations who are sentenced to interminable punitory time to deal with that system's relative cruelties that also are at the expense of the people's hard-earned taxes. Whoa! What a stretch is this? Where can the writing, typing hand be going? From the ITB 01 PMRS, Political, Military, Religion Society's acronym, to ITB 02 PRJWBCHM, Politics, Religion, Justice, War, Belief Complexes, Hierarchical Matrix? But that is what evolved over the period between 2010 and 2023. Who would have thought those particular consonants as acronyms have anything whatsoever to do with the interminable insanity that carries detrimental educated ignorance over into the prison cell, the inmate-populated institutions, those places technically and literally serve as a dumping ground to suffice for justices, the J-factors, disposable refuse, and furthest lamenting from, in quotes, send these the homeless tempest-tossed to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door, end quote. It is a commemoration plaque at the Statue of Liberty, but let us not forget the J-factor that exists where the fleeing refugees come from. The cruelty of justice under any regime's highest elevated throne, even as no visible throne exists in the desert, as a case in point. It is where the R and the J factors have always tended to suppress the people to some long-ignored insanity under threats of punishment and isms up the yin-yang. Again, one's childhood memorized words randomly, one at a time or sequentially, will replay. Research writer's head, the brain's circuitry design. It connects to the cosmic stream, the transceiver brain traffic that is also barely fathomed, hardly known about at all. Logically, it is what the first human must have been designed to tune in and tune out by the universe, eternal, omniscient mind in the first place. That is the point. When it comes to any lamenting unheard cries from the people on earth at every turn of events, whether any individual or member in a group admits this fact of design science, it cannot also be a fabricated, fabulous facade, fictitious facelift, or the word face-off that is synonymous with the word confrontation. Soon enough, in the human experience, surviving the human condition is critical. At some stage, phases, proclivities of the PRJWBCHM, as this acronym more than 13 years evolved from PMRS, political, military, religion societies, as confrontations are bound to happen. But as we can read, front is inside the longer word confrontation. The prefix con for convict is not a dismissible coincidence, since it also is a prefix of the word consider, which from Latin are con plus sidus, joining stars together. So if there are 4 stars, 4 points at minimum, as the human conceptual reasoning faculty of thoughts, awareness of otherness, comes before awareness of self, what does this tell us about the justice system's heinous mentality as the imposter from day one in the universal communications process? Of course, this is not the first thought, nor an admittable deficit liability humans carry over from one generation to the next, all the always partially overlapping generations. How could it be? When the very authority is potentially in readiness to permeate all aspects of the universal communications process, from the most prestigious universities, where the justice system's lawyers and judges learn the art of clever prosecutions and defenses while omitting basics of life-sustaining truths. Those mindsets would bet their bottom dollar on educated ignorance to some degree of what has yet to be discovered as self-evident, counting on mass-educated ignorance that knows naught of axiomatic, the axes to grind other than the prestige of precedent-setting, precedent accounting practices. Oh, what tangled alliterations we weave when subjected to variations from one factual, fictitious, facetious, facilitation, forbidden, and foreboding, first and foremost, firmly fixed frequencies that humans everywhere, myself included, have no knowledge of. We do not know what frequencies are, what they mean, correlating to the only 2 possible covariables that are operatives in all universe design. So if the P, the R, the J, the W authorities can use this ignorance against us, it also increases incarcerated populations. Must the human imagination invent a planet utopia for such anticipated industries? First and foremost, to require a respectful, quiet place, a complete dictionary, and reams of writing paper, pens, pencils, erasers, for composing the human's thought process for whatever can result. It must never be used as evidence against systemic thought, consciously activating word processing for furthering punitory justice's devious intentions. Such behavior would be indicative of the double-edged sword that justice's historical impostor hides in its sneaky scabbard, as it lifts its other arm holding the lamp beside the golden door. What lamp is it anyway? Is it strictly symbolical, allegorical? To find out is another long journey correlative to light, lightening versus darkness, as the absence of light. That would have been when humans lived in darkness after the sun set and awoke to the light of day after sunrise, before discoveries of firelight, candlelight, light bulbs, neon. Neon, according to Oxford University Press Dictionary on Correll's word perfect 2020, is an inert gaseous element giving an orange glow when electricity is passed through it, used in fluorescent lighting. Neon excites humans, especially on city streets, where signs are posted to invite consumerism without any conscious connection whatsoever to the words in the dictionary and other developing insights and outlooks at that point in time, to be continued in the beginning.